Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show, um, and it is the 21st of this year, whatever this year is. So, welcome to it. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everything's good. Um, Thursday, we're nearly there. If you live for the weekend, you are nearly there. MKT Show, Cliff Central Sport, with me, MKT. Going to talk a little bit about Man United today. Man City have an issue. Um, Sergio Aguero testing positive for coronavirus. I'll give you my thoughts on what I think Man City should do moving forward. MKT Inspires on social media. Otherwise, you can go to at Cliff Central Sport on all social media. At Cliff C Sport on the Tweet Monster. All right, let's get into it. Let us get into it. Let's get into it. All right, Man United last night, 17 in a row away from home. Terrific. Absolutely terrific. Nobody should take away what they've done. Hey, whether you like or hate or love Man United, that was terrific. And they've been terrific, really, on the road. Quite brilliant. Pogba scored a screamer, and he's playing over the last 5 games in particular really, really well. He's fitting into a system. He's playing superbly. He said, I think West Brom was the one, and then yesterday, an absolute scream. So, but here's my issue with Paul Pogba coming out in the papers, and all of a sudden he's talking now, because I haven't heard him say anything for the last 18 months. The problem with it is this, and I see it all the time. I have friends like this, is front runners. They like to talk when things are going well. So what tends to happen is we think these are the leaders we want. These are the people we want to be around, because when things go well, they're loud and they want to be at the front. And for me, that's always a problem. So I always look for people when things are going terribly, is who's fronting up, who's coming to the front of the line. Man United have been terrible for it. This is the 8th year of the cycle after Fergie. For 5 years, this is his 5th season. Paul Pogba, for the last 4 seasons, has been dreadful. Not bad, not mediocre. He's been absolutely dreadful. Where's he been for 4 years? These are the best 5 games he's played in 4 years. £90 million he cost. So I hear everybody going, "Oh, you were wrong. Pogba's this," and eventually they got him the right coach. 4 years. I'm sorry, there's not one world-class player that's been anywhere for 4 years, regardless of the coach. I watched Eden Hazard at Chelsea, and Chelsea was a roller coaster, driving Chelsea to titles. 2 titles on his own, literally, especially the one against Antonio Conte, right? That was Eden Hazard on his own. That's what world-class looks like. That's what leadership looks like. By the way, remember, Paul Pogba cost £90 million. I think a lot of people forget that. And people say players don't decide the price. But yes, folks, the corporate world is always speaking to you. The language is called money. The more we pay you, we don't have to say it. The more we pay for you, the more we give to you in resources, the more we expect. So when we pay £90 million for you, I expect the goals last night, but I haven't seen them for 4 years. And now I'll tell you what, it's a little comfortable at Man United. Things are going really well. So of course Paul Pogba is going to play well, right? If I'm Man United, I still move on in the summer. Folks, if your girlfriend comes home after having cheated on you 3 times, let me tell you something. The 4th time, when she says, "I promise never again," is not the time to believe them. Right? I've seen Paul Pogba for 4 years. And this isn't the fact of me hating Paul Pogba. I love the Instagram stuff. I love his character. I love that about him. But I prefer Roy Keane, right? That's what I prefer. I prefer David Silva. Is you can do all the talking you want, but I need the production to come first. So I can't take 5 games in 4 years and say this is Paul Pogba. I'm sorry, that's not who you are. Right? You are who you are over the last 4 years. I've seen what Paul Pogba is. If I'm Man United, this is the last chance to get some money. They'll get 50, 60 million pounds. You're not getting 90 million back because PSG aren't stupid. I don't think he's going to Real Madrid. I don't think he's good enough for Real Madrid. I certainly don't. If he can't live with the media pressure in England, he is not surviving at Real Madrid. Because those white handkerchiefs come out and then there's no turning around. Once the handkerchiefs are out with the Madridistas, you are toast. In Man United, he's been rather protected because the whole thing's been a mess. He goes to Real Madrid. He doesn't want that kind of noise. He doesn't. He'll. There's no ways. I'll guarantee it right now. There is no ways Paul Pogba could ever survive a year in Madrid because there is no scrutiny in England. I know the UK media seem harsh. Madrid is a different level. So PSG aren't stupid. They're not going to pay £100 million for Paul Pogba, but he's not worth that. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Over the last 4 years, he's shown you he's not a leader. He's not getting you 15 goals and 10 assists a season. That's not what he's doing. And he's also injury prone. That's not what I'm saying this year. I'm showing you, go and look. Over the last 4 years, he's been injured every single year. You get £60 million. Move on from the guy. And how do I know what he is? Because I watched it at Juventus happen. Right? I watched Pirlo look after him. I watched Marquisio look after him. I watched Vidal look after him. And then Pogba was great, right? I watched N'Golo Kante, Griezmann, Sissoko, Matuidi look after Pogba, World Cup. I watched all of that. The only time, every single time we've asked Paul Pogba, lead. Here you are, Man United is yours, £90 million, take the dressing room to another level. What do I get? But I have clear evidence, 4 seasons at Juventus, a World Cup win with France, is when Paul Pogba is the supplementary star. Great. Awesome. Because he can be in the background, he'll give you a flash of magic every now and then. And you're seeing it again. Why haven't you seen it for 4 years? Because all the pressure's been on him. This year, what's the difference? Bruno Fernandes is the lead singer now. So Bruno, the pressure's all on Bruno. Now Paul Pogba's just a supporting act. And it's great. Right? He looks awesome now because there's no pressure on him. He can't play with pressure. And if you're a Man United player, I'm sorry, you cannot hide. And you can like Paul Pogba all you like, but I've seen what I've seen. I've seen the bad. And he is who he is now. He's 27 years old. Stop telling me the guy's young. He is who he is. Juventus had to babysit him. France had to babysit him. You go and win. Now he's being babysat because Fred and Bruno are actually where it's at for that Man United midfield. And Pogba looks awesome. I'm sorry, for £90 million, I need a little more than that. And don't tell me the last 5 games mean he's a spectacular world-class player. What's he been doing for 4 years, though? What about that? Folks, you don't get to be an awful person for 5 years, and then you say sorry, and then for a year, I don't know, you attend church and you go to charities, and I think you're a great person. That's not how it works. And I'm afraid for Paul Pogba, I've seen 4 seasons of mediocrity. I don't want to, if I'm Man United, move on. I've seen enough. I'm all about consistency, not hype. Not hype. Good player, not great. Right? He is a good player. You've got to give him physique. Everything about him suggests, if you're going for form over substance, he's 6'3". I mean, that physique is unbelievable. Box to box. He should be going box to box. He doesn't. He's got no tactical discipline. We know that now. That's why United have to play 2 defensive midfielders. He should be able to score those screamers every game. Or give me 1 in 5. Bruno gives me sort of 8 out of 10 performances. Paul Pogba plays well 2 out of 10 times over the last 4 years. So be careful of being a prisoner of the moment. If I'm Man United, I still move on. There's a new era. There's a new king in town. And you move on with Fred and Bruno as your core and you add to that. That's what I do. Good player, not leader, not a game changer. Paul Pogba's not a game changer. He's a support star. Bruno Fernandes, game changer. Eden Hazard, game changer. Kevin De Bruyne, game changer. And they don't need anybody else to be playing well. You give me the ball. I'll do it. Paul Pogba, supplementary star. Antoine Griezmann, game changer. Right? That's a game changer. Paul Pogba was supporting him. It's hunky-dory. All right. We'll make short and sweet. Listen, Man City, let's move on to this. Man City have a problem right now. They got a serious problem. Is that Kun Aguero is injured, right? And I don't know how you conduct yourself, but I'll tell you how I've always done it. Friendship, romantic is, I've always said, if you think you should break up with somebody, you should break up with them. You don't need to be right or wrong. You can do all of the crying into your pillow at home later. If you think for a second, you know what? I don't like that person's energy, or I don't like how they talk to me, they're disrespectful, or I don't like how she treats me, how he treats me. And if you think you should break up with somebody, don't ever go twice again and go and try and justify staying with them. Just break up with them. Move on. Friends, relationships. Move on. Because there's an element of real in that. Right? I've always been a fan in life. Always. Move on a year early. So whether you're at work, if you're in a crappy job, move on a year early. You know what? You can scamp, get a cheaper place. You know what? Explain to your partner, listen, babe, I'm going to need 6 months. We're going to lock down our finances. Is if you're in a crap job, leave a year early. Don't leave a year late, because all you do is grow resentment and getting anxious while you're there. Leave a year early. In a relationship, if you're in a bad relationship, friendship, romantic, leave a year early. Leave a year early. Because resentment builds if you stay with somebody you idolized at a stage, loved at a stage, a job you loved at a stage, and it's eroding as you're a part of it. The only thing that builds, it never gets stronger. The only thing that builds when you think, I should be out of here, I hate this, I feel trapped, is resentment. And I'll tell you what's happening with Man City. Man City should sell Kun Aguero right now. And you've heard me over the last 6 months, 7 months, is I think he's the best striker in the Premier League. He's definitely in the top 5 best strikers the Premier League's ever had. But Man City should move on from Kun Aguero right now. Because as in a relationship, as a job, your manager, you thought he was one thing and he's not. Listen, Kun Aguero is not what Kun Aguero was worth before. And it's a production versus tolerance world. Kun Aguero can't stay fit anymore. He can no longer deliver those legendary performances. And he's high maintenance now. Because now he's out breaking coronavirus protocols. Now he's out going to parties. Now he's out going to New Year's parties. And now I'm not getting 25 goals a season. And you know, it's been terrible the last 18 months. The injuries are totting up. And by the way, once you get old, it takes a lot longer to recover. And trust me, nobody gets fit in the season. Doesn't happen. You get it. I mean, he's had that groin injury from last season. It hasn't recovered. It means he's in no condition, and conditioning takes somewhere 6 to 8 weeks, depending on who you listen to. And then it's probably going to take another 6 to 8 weeks to hit your peak form. By that time, by the way, the season's over. If I'm Man City, I don't let the resentment build. Don't get emotional. We do this all the time in life and in business. I've had business partners who get so emotional. Don't get emotional. Move on early. Rip the Band-Aid. Stop telling me he's a legend and there's a nice way to do things. Folks, in any breakup, I want you to go and be honest with yourself after this show. And tell me there's a good way to break up with somebody. Oh, let me do it gently. Oh, I'll do it at home. Oh, you know what? His mom's sick. I'm not going to do it now. Rubbish. Rubbish. There is no good way to break up with somebody. Don't tell me Kun Aguero is a legend, so we're going to wait till the end of the season. Don't do it. It's clear what he is now. He's old. He's injury prone. You can no longer rely on his behavior. Something's happened in the background, I think. Pep's been off him for a while. But I'll tell you the other side why I'd sell him now is that what you do if you sell him now is, for me to be successful, you need clarity in life. You need clarity in business. You need clarity in life, right? All strong partners, mothers, fathers, is what do they do for their kids? Is you create clarity for your kids, and then they tend to be more successful than not. Clarity, if you're in a sales team, if your manager creates clarity, gives you the resources, here are the targets, here's what you need. What do you need? Clarity. Here are the non-negotiables in terms of the pipeline you must have. If he says, man, just go out and we'll have beers on Friday, there's no clarity in that. It's very, very difficult to be successful. You're hoping on a lucky call for a client to call or something like that. But in order to have sustained success, is you need clarity. If you tell Jesus, right now that, by the way, you're on the clock because it's been mediocre for about 6 to 8 months, is you're on the clock now. You're the guy. Aguero's gone. You're the guy. If by the end of the season you don't have 25 goals, all right, you have to lay it out clearly for the guy. If you don't have 25 goals, you also have Jesus at the end of the season. You go, all right, listen, you're going to have a choice to make. You're going to be the second striker again, or you can move on. So Man City need to create some clarity for themselves because they need a striker. Kun Aguero is washed. I'd sell Aguero now. Don't waste time. If you're in a crap job, if you're in a crap relationship, if you ever think to yourself, hey, you know what? This is actually too much to maintain. My boyfriend's becoming too much to maintain now, right? He was great in the beginning. He kept himself fit. He had a great job, but he's lost some motivation at work. And quite frankly, his mom's a bit of a nightmare to deal with. And quite frankly, you know what? He's not in the same shape he was in before. He doesn't respect me really. He drinks on Sundays. It's not what it was. It's not what I signed up for. I've asked him for 6 months to change. He's not changed. Move on. If those thoughts are in your mind now, move on and do it now. I've always said, move on a year early rather than a year late. Don't be idealistic in life. There is no good way to break up with somebody. If you have to break up with somebody, do it now. It's going to be ugly. Rip the Band-Aid off. Be a grown-up. If Man City are grown-ups, right, get ahead of this. Get rid of Kun Aguero. It's over. That's over. I don't care how great he's been. Sport, folks, is all about what have you done for me lately. Sport is not about it. This is not a lifetime achievement award where Kun Aguero gets to be mediocre and injured and being at parties over New Year's while there's like level 5 restrictions, right? That's not acceptable because you're a legend. That's not acceptable because I'm not seeing Sadio Mane partying, right? I'm not seeing Bruno Fernandes at New Year's parties. I didn't see that. I didn't see Kevin De Bruyne at New Year's parties. They're legends. So who's Kun Aguero? Being a legend doesn't mean you get to break behavior. Part of being a legend is actually conducting yourself like a legend. Now, unless you like Leo Messi or Maradona, will kind of tolerate that. I love Kun Aguero. I think he's he's the best striker in the league currently going. But he's not Maradona. He's not Leo Messi. He's not Cristiano Ronaldo. I could tolerate that with them. And Ronaldo never broke lockdown. Messi never broke lockdown. You never heard problems with them. I don't know who Kun Aguero thinks he is, but once somebody starts to believe their own hype, which maybe Kun Aguero is starting to believe, I'm sorry, it's time to let him go. There's no good way to break up with people. If Man City are smart, move on. You create clarity to Jesus. You say, you are the man for the next 6 months. If you cannot do it by June, unfortunately, we're trying to win a Champions League. We're going after Erling Haaland. We're going after maybe, I don't know, they might need a Griezmann. They might need whoever the next big striker is. That's it. They got Ferran Torres now. So I'd move on from Aguero now. Breaking up's hard, people, especially if it's somebody you've loved for a long time. But delaying it doesn't make it any easier and it doesn't make it any sweeter. And by the way, when you break up with somebody, to Kun Aguero, you never have to deliver honey with the medicine. Now, there is a skill to breaking up. You can Google sort of what the psychoanalysts and philosophers say about the correct way to break up. There are techniques to break up with people. You can be sensitive in the breakup, right? There's lots of ways. It's not you, it's me. But Aguero, it's time now. Move on. And if Man City are smart, I'm telling you now, make Jesus the guy without Aguero there. And now it's sink or swim. Because Man City have no time to hang on. At the end of the season, they need to know is, do we need to get a second striker for Jesus, right? Or is Jesus our guy and we don't need any strikers? We can develop a striker from the academy. I'd move on now. I'm serious. I would move on right now. I'd love to know what people think, but I would move on right now. He's old, he's injured, and now he's becoming a bit of a headache. His behavior is becoming a bit of a headache. Production tolerance. Last 18 months, he's not been fit. It's not a coincidence that City haven't been able to win the league. Their main guy hasn't been fit. Folks, I'll say it over and over. Production versus tolerance. There is nowhere in the world where tolerance will exceed production. And don't get emotional about it. Kun Aguero is not what he was. It's okay. Great player, legend. That's not going to change. Move on. All right. Before we go, push like if you like this content. If you don't like this content, that's also okay. Just act like this didn't happen. And you can, I don't know, you can return to Cluedo or whatever you were doing before this. All right, let's finish off on one comment. Oh, if it isn't Mr. Arsenal. Good old Mr. Arsenal himself. Jesse Randolph. We'll finish off with Jesse's statement. He says, City should go for Haaland. The kid is unbelievable. I often say on social media, I think Thor has been replaced as Odin's favorite son. I believe that Erling Haaland has been handpicked by Odin himself from the heavens, the Nordic heavens, and been dropped down on this earth to come and do Odin's work. I believe that. Thor has been replaced as the favorite son. Loki and Thor are now out there. And if you don't know your Nordic sort of, I don't know, mysticism or whatever they call it, Thor is obviously Odin's son, Odin being their god, the Nordic god. But he has been chosen. He has been anointed. Erling Haaland is absolutely the one. As a Chelsea fan, I've been hearing rumors that Chelsea are going after him. We know Roman will compete financially. But I agree, Man City should get him. He's 20 and he's the complete product. It's embarrassing that Chelsea have Tammy Abraham at 23, who has no strength, no first touch, unable to hold the ball up, is basically Danny Welbeck in terms of Bambi on ice. Tammy Abraham's embarrassing at 23. There's nothing Tammy Abraham can do. And Haaland has the whole deal. Hey, Jesse, how about this for a side story? So for those who don't know, Erling Haaland's father had his career ended by a guy called Roy Keane. Go and look it up if you don't know the story. The great comeback story. Wouldn't this be awesome? Comes to Man City and just dominates for 5 years. And if I was Erling Haaland, I might even troll Roy Keane. I'd wear number 16. Aguero used to wear 16. I'd come to City, wear number 16, and bang goals for Man City. Revenge for ending my father's career. If you don't know that story, go and look it up. Roy Keane in one of the most atrocious moments. And I still love Roy Keane, but oh my God. That tackle ended Erling Haaland's father's career, and it was the end. So how about that for a side story? Haaland comes to Man City, becomes the biggest Man City legend ever, and ensures that Man United don't win a title for 10 more years. How awesome would that be? So, yeah, that's a story. Haaland's the best youngster. Look, there's two players in the world right now that I love. I think he's the best young player in the world. Not I think. He's the best young player in the world. I'm not obsessed with Mbappe, by the way. Because, do you know the only thing that's been consistent about Mbappe over the last, the World Cup's short and international football is much easier than club football, right? Is the one thing that Mbappe is really consistent with is injuries. He's actually not been that consistent since he's been that world record fee. Go and look at Mbappe's numbers. And I know everybody gets excited because, again, it's the Paul Pogba syndrome, right? The haircuts and the flashy, and he's brilliant and the pace. I know Real Madrid want him. I don't see what the magic is about Mbappe. Because I know one World Cup appearance seems like that should be everything. But Kleberson won a World Cup for Brazil, and he was brilliant there. I'm not obsessed with Mbappe because I haven't seen Mbappe put 2 back-to-back seasons together. And I've always said this. Injured young, injured old. You're seeing it with Paul Pogba. Look at every player. Injured young, injured old. Mbappe worries me because what's his thing been of the last 18 months? Injuries. And that really worries me. Young players don't get fitter. They don't get stronger over time. Injured young is injured old. So for me, there's 2 players you should be looking out for if you love football. The one is the best young midfielder in the world, and I don't think it's close, is João Felix at Atletico Madrid. I've never seen a young man so cultured. He looks ready. He could play at Real Madrid right now. He's unbelievable. But when you speak about Haaland, I just think that's another level. Haaland's world-class now at 20. João Felix is on the brink of world-class. I think that those 2 youngsters have separated themselves from the rest of the youngsters in the world. I still haven't seen Mbappe over a full season produce anything. Listen, at France, that team's loaded. Conte, Sissoko, Matuidi, right? Like that team's insane. Varane. Are you kidding me? That team is loaded. Right? Mbappe was like a little bit of a sideshow because Griezmann was... Listen to that team. So, yes, he was brilliant. Yes, but I think Mbappe, we must be very, very careful. He's becoming that icing on the cake and not the cake. Because if you're honest, that France team is really, it's centered around Kante, Matuidi, and Griezmann for me. That's where they won the games. And then you've got the icing on top is you got Paul Pogba, the flashy talent, and Griezmann, Mbappe, that extra talent. So I'm not obsessed with Mbappe as much as people are. I think there's a huge sort of social media machine to try and make him look like it. But go and look at his numbers. He's so injury prone. And I've always said this in life, and I've always said this about sport. Pay production, not talent. So don't get obsessed with what Mbappe looks like. What is he? So for me, Haaland, João Felix, they're a different class. Every other youngster is in the second or third shelf. Jesse says, I thought Saka and Martinelli is good, but Haaland, no. Listen, I like Saka. I like Martinelli. They're not, no. In fact, there's better. I'd even take Pedro Neto at Wolves over Saka or Martinelli. I think he's another unbelievable one. Portugal are onto a good thing, huh? Bruno, Pedro Neto, João Felix. They've got a serious team. And I like that young boy at Wolves up front as well. He's 19 years old. He's looking really good. And we'll finish off with this. Jesse says, Mbappe isn't even better than Neymar. And honestly, I don't think Neymar's that great. Neymar has been exposed just like Paul Pogba's been exposed, right? It was all fun and games when you had Luis Suarez and you had Iniesta and you had Leo Messi. You had those guys. That was all good. That was all fun and well. And then you left that and you wanted your own team. It's been a mess. It's been a mess for Neymar, right? Like, let's be clear. And the talent, no problem. The character, not a winner, not a leader. Stop it. So if you're saying he's not even as good as Neymar, I don't think Neymar, I wouldn't take Neymar if I was a big team. There's no ways. If I'm Barcelona, I've seen what he is now. I don't need those kind of problems. And Neymar's a little injury prone himself. So I'm getting an injury prone headache with Neymar. At least Mbappe hasn't shown any sort of symptoms of being a headache. He's just injury prone. Pay production, and sports teams all over the world make this mistake. You know who's brilliant or has been brilliant is the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady never had the best receivers and the best. Bill Belichick, New England Patriots, we pay production, which is why every single year they can move on from people. We don't care who you are. You don't want to play. You don't want to stick to the rules. Move on. That's what Bayern Munich are brilliant at as well. Let's be honest. You pay production, not talent. That's the way you win in business 24/7. So I agree with you. I don't think Mbappe is better than Neymar. I don't. Because at least Neymar, I've seen put him in a talented team or with big names. And it's harder with better teams, right? It's not harder. It's not easier with worse teams, right? That's not how it is. It's easier in worse teams. It's much harder at Barcelona because you have to have some personality. Because Luis Suarez isn't putting up with 10 crosses that aren't perfect. And Leo Messi certainly isn't. Like, Leo Messi's not putting up nonsense. At least Neymar's showing you there. I don't know if Mbappe is showing you anything. Because every time it's mattered for PSG, he's fallen at the last hurdle. So we'll see. I totally agree there. That is very, very true. All right, that's it for tonight. You could have been anywhere with anybody. You chose to be with us. I'm MKT. This is Cliff Central Sport. It is the MKT Show. And for tonight, folks, thank you so much for joining us. But for now, we are the hell out of here.